So karibuni sana and welcome to ACCUREX. Today we are talking about customer service. And I think we've really talked about customers in the last, I think, 3, 4 webinars. And this is also becoming a very asked for topic whenever we do the surveys, like what topics do you want us to bring you? What workplace topics do you think we've not touched in yet? So customers are really coming up a lot. And now it's not retention on the part of the sales team. It's the retention on the part of the non-sales teams, the HR, the admins, the people in operations, the people in procurement. What are you doing to make sure that our companies are able to retain our customers? And that is the one big topic that we'll be able to address this morning. Thanks to Kevin. Kevin is no stranger to us. He delivered a wonderful webinar topic a few weeks ago. And guess what? We still have him here. So thank you so much for Kevin, even for preparing this. I know there's a lot of effort that goes into preparing for webinars and even training. So thank you so much for that. So my name again is Purity Wanjiro. I come from ACCUREX. ACCUREX is a HR consulting firm. We've also been at it for quite a minute, 10 years, I must say. I'm very proud of the progress we've done, the lives we've touched in our course of consulting. So we do HR consulting as a service. We also do payroll management, both as a service and also outsourcing it. We do trainings like the ones we've been doing for you the entire of 2025 around leadership, management, customer service, supervisory skills. So all of that, including the OSHA trainings, the health and safety ones, first aid and all of that. So that is what we do. I'm happy to talk more about our company at the very tail end of this webinar. But for now, karibu sana, karibu Kevin. Kevin brings in a lot of experience, one as a trainer and also in the space of customer service. So we'll be digging quite a wealth of experience from him this morning. Kindly let us engage him. Ask as many questions as you can. And at the very tail end of our webinar, normally how we structure it, we'll start with a presentation for about 45, 50 minutes, thereabout. Then at the very tail end, we'll have a Q&A session. You can ask your questions, but also feel free to ask questions as we progress in the webinar. If anything is not clear, you can just raise your hand. We'll give you an opportunity to speak. If not, we have the chat box. You can always put your comments, your thoughts on the chat box. We'll address them on the go. Also, we have a feedback session at the end. So feel free to give us feedback either on the form or in person. That would be nice. And also, if you require a certificate of this training, we are happy to extend one to you if you fill the feedback form. So that is in terms of the structure. So over to you, Kevin, and karibu sana.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Purity, for that nice introduction. As you've heard, my name is Kevin Omolo, and I will be taking you through, I'll be facilitating this training for today. So I'll start basically with the general overview of what we'll cover today. So first, we will have the general overview of what the training will be about in terms of the content. We can go into the aspects of what is the significance of customer retention. At the same time, after that, we'll follow up with trying to come up with a retention strategy framework in terms of once we have a framework, what actions or what activities we can embark on when we go to our various customized activities we can embark on when it comes to issues of implementing that strategy. We'll have key takeaways that we've taken from this a brief session in terms of even discussing on those points of note that can be beneficial to us as we're going forward. And for a general Q&A session. So the general Q&A can be any questions or any clarifications needed, anything that I haven't tackled. Those are the things that we can also discuss during that session. So onwards to the first bit. So I start with the overview of what this training is about. So from this training, First and foremost, we hope that it will be able to highlight the importance of retaining customers to all of us, so that we can see why it's a vital skill to have. It will show how support operations, as Security had mentioned earlier, other departments can come and play a role in terms of retaining customers, so that it doesn't become the sole role of people from sales department alone. And finally, it will aim to strengthen customer retention across every department, as earlier mentioned. So those are the key three objectives that I hope by the time we are finished with this training, most of us will have. So I move on onwards to significance of customer retention. And if I'm looking at the significance of customer retention, the first thing I feel that we all need to be conversant with is, what do we mean by when we say customer retention? And generally, this is the ability of a company to keep its existing customers over time. Two things to note: it's keeping customers over a period of time. It's not just an issue of there has to be at least those two parameters that we are looking at. Um, the second thing, when you're looking in terms of that during the definition, is the aspect of your main aim is to build long-term relationships rather than one-time transaction. By that we mean it's not just I sell and I leave you. Buyer-seller mentality that used to be there in the past, where I just want to make as many sales as possible to as many people as possible. That is still good, but when you build a relationship, then that's the aspect we are looking at. What relationship have you built? One key aspect that will bring this to perspective, why do we need to do this customer retention, is we look at the aspect of cost. And when money is mentioned, people pay attention. It's one thing to say it's good to build a relationship for social purposes, but when money comes in, then that makes more business sense. And we are all in business. So one key aspect of it is it's most cost effective. And this is data that I'll share going forward, showing that why it's cost effective retaining than acquiring new customers. That and one key aspect of retention means that your brand it can be also an evaluation of your brand. So that's why retaining customers is very key. It's because it shows that your brand is still chosen over other competitors that have come into the market. So it's also a gauge of where you are within, in terms of having a market share, or a gauge of where you are when it comes to comparing yourselves with other competitors in the market. Now, once we also look at that aspect of retention in terms of brand, and we have retained those customers, what does it help us with? And one key aspect is in terms of long-term growth for the organization. And this in turn looks at the aspect of financial sustainability. That is, if I have customers and I know these are customers who are loyal to me, I'm able to predict how many customers are going to come and buy a product maybe in a day, in a week, in a month. So I'm able to see, am I going to be very viable, or am I going to meet my obligations within this particular month or a year and the like. Mhm. And further clarification, as I've mentioned earlier, loyal customers will make those repeat purchases, thus boosting long-term revenue. So when it comes to aspects of significance for customer retention, those are the key points to highlight out. So that's why you'd want for any organization to retain as many customers as you can, and between all those departments that are there. So I'll move on to the statistics very quickly to just give you a brief overview of what the findings are. And according to Forbes magazine, 50% of existing companies, customers are likelier to try. I don't know whether likelier is a word, but 50% of existing customers are likelier to try new products, and 31% spend more than new customers. So that means if you have a customer base of 100 and 50 are willing to embark when you're introducing a new product, 50 of them are already willing to try to test it out. Um, it's an easier sell than having to look for those 100 new customers to buy a new product. Uh, and 31% are spending more than the new customers. That means if you have repeat customers, then there's increased sales or increased spending on whatever service or good you're offering. When it comes to aspects of loyalty, we have found that loyal customers are 5 times more likely to make repeat purchases than new ones. Loyal customers are 5 times more likely to overlook mistakes. We do not advocate for mistakes for companies, but they do happen. We are not perfect, we are human, and sometimes systems fail us. However, if there is a 5 times chance that they will not abandon you on your first issue, it makes more business sense to try and retain as many as possible. They are 4 times more likely to refer your brand to others. And that's the best form of sales and marketing, even in the previous statement we saw, that referrals actually do work when it comes to aspects of marketing our products. And people trust more the people they know, the relationships they have, than strangers. So referral is a good program to have, and are 7 times more likely to try new products. So given those figures, it will make sense that you'd want as many customers as possible to be loyal to your brand. And finally, we've seen that statistics put out that loyal customers account for 60% of direct to consumer sales. Especially if your business is business B2C, business to customer related, you now focus on the area of retention. Why? It's because, am I audible?
Yes, proceed.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay. I'll try and speak more clearly. Sometimes my accent fails me. Loyal customers account for 60% of direct to consumer sales. So B to C especially, those are the types of relationships we want. So I've seen this mostly with small businesses where everybody knows everybody in terms of when it comes to the customer client relationship. They know from the person who's at the gate to the person who's selling the product. In bigger businesses, it might be a bit of a tough sale. And that's now where the role of other departments come in to make sure that we retain this kind of relationship. Okay. So moving on. So I'll now move on to the key drivers of retention. And these ones I'll touch on the points mainly, and then I'll expound further on them. Um, One of a key driver towards aspects of retention is consistent communication. This is best exemplified that in most cases when you buy a good, it ends at that point. It's very rare that we do follow up. And I'll take it to a basic example. LPG gas is a good example. Nowadays, we have distributors or even sellers within our estates. And the interesting thing I found out is none ever asks about whether you had any issues, even just assembling or is it installing of the LPG gas. There's no form of feedback that you get yet. The number of times I've seen, or rather, when I used to stay in an apartment, the number of times people will ask and request, "Can I help with this and that and the other?" In terms of installing, those are basic skills that people are struggling with in terms of just installing an LPG gas. So consistent communication sometimes with the customer, not to assume that the product they bought they're able to use efficiently or with ease. It will be good to have a channel where you can have that consistent communication, even if it's just to say hi and maybe something will prop up. There's an aspect of efficient problem resolution. It's not problem resolution only, but efficient. How efficient are you in resolving the problem? Most of us think because we've solved a problem, then the customer is satisfied and they're going, it's guaranteed business for the future. And I'll use an example of technical skills like in plumbing. There's one time and I had an issue with the cistern for the toilet system. But for the plumber to repair that, a lot of things had to be done. He had to kind of break the wall, kidogo. He had to do a bit of repair, civil works, so that he can be able to access those cistern and the like. However, after he had done the repair of the cistern, now everything when it comes to the repair work, he left to me. Ideally, it would have been good. Yes, my toilet was working, the system is working, but now everything is in a mess. So sometimes when you are resolving a problem, it is good to look at it. How efficient have we been in terms of resolving the issue? Let's not bring other challenges to the customer when you are resolving a problem. Another one could be issues of customer success support. Um, by that, we generally look at issues of, okay, when it comes to I'm having an issue, uh, how do the department or the people who are supporting me through the process of troubleshooting or resolving the issue, what is the success rate in terms of the support they've offered? We've had incidences where you call for support and everybody is left, maybe the issue is not resolved and everybody is not too clear about what it needs to be done or what steps need to be taken, and they leave you wallowing there. You don't know. It's a state of ambivalence. They don't know. They live in a place where you don't know whether you go forward or you go back and start from scratch again. They live in limbo, if I can use that word. So those aspects, sometimes you say, yes, we've offered customer support, but how effective have we been in terms of, have we been successful in actually addressing the issue to the tail end? Or are we just letting it bits and pieces is what we are resolving within? And finally, it's an aspect of personalized experiences. Yeah, I will want or I feel good when somebody mentions my name through the process. And in customer care is one of those skills that you learn very early. As quick as you can, mention the person's name as often as possible. And there's no sweeter word to a person than their name. So it's the same thing when it comes to even within the departments. Let people learn that, yes, use the name. The other day we went shopping, and I'll give this example with my wife, and we were shopping for certain items within the shop. I think it was, yes, we were shopping for deco items. And at one point, the receptionist mentioned where utakuja hizi vitu zako, where will you come for your things? And funnily enough, we got what we needed, and it had the unique items that she needed because they were very outstanding. However, the thing that stuck with her was uh, I was called where. She didn't refer to me by my name, and that was my whole ride from town to home, and the whole setup for the whole weekend. That was what stuck to her. Not that the deco was good, but how was I addressed by this particular lady at the shop where I was at? So even the photos themselves have come out perfectly, but she still remembers. They're like, the photos are good, but we are not going back to that shop because of how they addressed me. Yes, and this was a cashier at the counter. So some of these things, uh, we might think that they are very alien or very far from us, or they are very far-fetched, but it could be that one aspect. And that experience for her will be the difference between a referral and her not referring somebody to continue with the organization. Okay, so now I'll move on to what we call the customer journey map. And by this, we have various stages within, and it's from how do we get to the customer to the point of how do we come to the aspect of retention. And one of those key stages that we have is the aspect of awareness of the product. This just this is just about the aspect of, do potential customers know that your product or service exists? And often this is through our marketing efforts, whether be is it in ads or social media, or is it even in the process of referral. I'll give a case in point, and I've noticed. There's one time we were working with nonprofit organizations, and there's a common factor I noticed with most of them. They're doing excellent jobs, they're providing excellent service to communities, but when it comes to aspect of showcasing whatever they're doing, most of them were at best novices in that endeavor. It could be because of budgetary issues, they didn't have a marketing department, or they don't have people to do their social media calendar, or they don't know when to post which ads where. But it was unfortunate that the people who are in need of their product or their service were unaware of the same. And so it had to be now an aspect of how can we create our online presence for them? So it's the same with us when we go back to organizations. Before we even start in terms of looking at retaining the customers, are the customers themselves aware that we exist? Are they clicking in our various social media, or are they liking our pages or even our content that we're putting out there? At the second stage will be from awareness, will be the aspect of consideration. This is where potential customers are looking, have become aware of the need or the problem that they have themselves based on what you're offering, and actually researching now you as a potential solution provider. So then now that decides, will we make a purchase? Will we consume the good or service? So the main aspect of this point is now you need to teach your customer about the value of your product or service. Case in point, it's one thing to show you that this is a pen. I can use an example of a pen. If I show you that this is a pen, yes, you're seeing it. I don't know if I might be disclosing my age, but by a show of hands, maybe if anybody knows about the kilometric, called kilometric. I see I am alone. There's no hand that has gone up or no emojis showing the same. Yes, so there used to be, Bernard, have I taken you back to the kilometric? So the kilometric pen, for me, I used to believe that you will go for a whole term in high school, or be it in school, in boarding school, and you'll use it from the first day of school to the last day of school. The ink does not finish. That used to be the kilometric pen in terms of that. And for that, I will think, if I am in boarding school, then that is the biro I'd want to use because it will last from the first day to the last day. So it saves me aspects of having to buy and the like. So those are some of those features that you can say about a product you have. Knowing that you have a product in itself and it's a good product, yes, that's fine. But how are you also showing that that product is valuable to your potential customers? Yes. Another thing to look at is once the product providing assistance or even support. By that we mean they have purchased the product. Are you helping them in terms of the product usage? Are you helping them troubleshoot issues if they're there? Are you even facilitating aspects of which is which I will say that's the last thing you want to do, facilitate aspects of returns and exchanges. So we found out that sometimes when the product is sold, everybody feels like their job is done. There's no follow-up and finding out how is it taking you as a product. Is it working as you expected? Did you have any challenges in terms of utilizing? So those are those aspects of support now we are bringing in towards the same. Yeah. And then the aspect of facilitating returns and exchanges, as much as we try to avoid, sometimes it's unavoidable. That could be in any batch production, you might have one or two products that are faulty. So it makes sense just replacing and say, okay, this is is a faulty batch. We are sending you a new one because we found out that this one specifically is not as good as it's supposed to be. And I remember aspects of like a simple thing like spoiled milk. You buy it from the duka. You have your packet of milk, you're about to open it, and you find that maybe it has gone bad. You used to carry that whole evidence with you of you will carry the packet of milk and the whole sufuria and you take it when you had to your local shop and the like. For supermarkets, it might not be the easy case. But what I found out is they still do allow that. Like when you buy a product, especially when it comes to this wholesale and you have the receipts, you can take it back and say, okay, this is what I bought from you guys, and this is my receipt, and they're like, can you change it for me? So those are those aspects of customer care where some people might say, goods once sold are yours. And if customers are, or rather, even if it's people within the supermarket attendants are not trained in the same, they might say, no, we don't. Once we sell the goods, that's your problem. You go and resolve it. And there have been cases where people have lost out because of that. Okay, so after we finish the aspects of support, we're looking now at aspects of retention. So by that is now we have the customer, they bought our product, we've engaged with them, we realize they're using the product to the needs that they wanted or to the ends that they wanted. Then how can we now start retaining them. By that, it means how do we keep those existing customers engaged and satisfied with our purchases? Do we have systems in place? Are we looking at the systems that we have? And knowing that when we keep them on board, this will encourage repeat business and long-term loyalty. So one of those key items is like I remember there's some butcheries when you go and you buy meat for my meat lovers. They will or coriander or dania for that matter, so that you can go and flavor. Or some will even have something else like to marinate whatever meat you have bought. It's like they try and spice up, or no pun intended. They try and spice up the whole experience of buying that meat. So you just don't buy the meat and it ends as that. So they try to look at those aspects of they can keep you coming back, or even just say, have you thought about this and that and the other? So those are the aspects about that. And once we are done with that stage of retention, then we are looking at can these people go and sell our gospel? So comes in the final stage of advocacy within the customer journey. Are they selling their gospel, our gospel out there? Are they saying, are the customers now being our brand advocates and saying, that is very good. I like the fact that they give me advice in terms of how can I tenderize my meat or that's on the spot. When it comes to marination, I've gotten even tips in terms of how to cook better for a guest. Or they told me when I want to buy roast meat, I need to buy the ones that is fatty, and they gave me the proper meat for roasting. They asked me, what do I need the meat for? They asked me, what do I need the meat for? So that is a very simple example of somebody running a butchery in an estate, but they can give those additional services on the like. So it's also food for thought for us to think about. Okay, how can we also do something similar within our organizations or the departments that we have? Yeah. So finally, next we move on to the aspects of the role of an sales team. Most of us feel like when it comes to issues of retaining customers, pleasing customers, that's the people for sales or marketing. Uh, that they have a budget for it, so let them do it. As we don't have a budget for it, so I have no role in doing that. So if we lose out on a customer, we are looking at what did sales and marketing do? Did they acknowledge them when it was maybe Valentine's? Did we take flowers to them? Something of that effect. Yet forgetting that it could be an experience they had when a customer called in to our offices and asked us, okay, um, for support, for instance. It could be an aspect of maybe they called and asked for support on utilizing an issue. Was it timely, our response? Did we, or did the line just keep on ringing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days without any callbacks? Were we empathetic in terms of our responses to them? Did we try and understand what the issue was, or did we start telling them, if it's an issue of your computer, switch it off, switch it on? Did you understand first and foremost what they're saying in terms of is it a software issue that is the issue? Is it a technical aspect? Has the computer hang? I'm just giving an example out there because you find that sometimes people just go to the default responses, which might not be the best. So it's good to tell the customer, okay, now we are resolving your issue systematically based on what you've told me. This is what I'm thinking. It's the same as a doctor. When you go to the hospital, they have to go through the examination process. Yeah. So that you can know they're looking for a solution tailor-made to the issue that is plaguing you at the time. When it comes to operations department, are we seamless in our service delivery? That is, if you say, for instance, our package will arrive at a particular time, or we give you an estimate of the time of arrival. Does it, for instance, if it's a courier company, arrive 10 or 15 days past the time that we're given? And knowing fully well that people plan around the guarantees we have given them when it comes to aspects of courier. So even in the operations department, sometimes seamless service delivery is very key. That when I go somewhere, I don't go there and reserve all day. Case in point will be how our experiences used to be with, I remember when I was younger with the banks, it will reach a point when you're going to pay school fees, it will take so long that what will happen is your parent will take you to the bank, leave you in line, and you continue on. And the line will start all the way outside of the bank on the side of the road as you're coming in. And then I used to be very impressed because there used to be this high-end, quote unquote, high-end banks or prestige banks that I never will see a line. And then kulikuwa na the banks for them wananchi, quote unquote, you will see lines going all the way. outside of the bank in itself. So those are the examples in terms of, okay, operations are now streamlined, where even when there's a queue within a bank, you see um, somebody coming out to the floor and asking, have you been served? Or what is the issue? Do you really need to go to the counter, or can we resolve it without you going to the counter? So those are small things within operations there that are serving towards making me as a customer feel like, I can go back to that bank, because I know even if they see me seated there for so long, they'll take an initiative and ask me, can they assist? Mm. It could be an issues of technical team, and the technical, one of the key issues is preventive maintenance. If you know that an issue is likely to arise, do you take the initiative well beforehand? And an aspect of this will be, for instance, I can use a quick example of insurance, for instance. Let me just use insurance. I wanted to use the mechanic, but let me use insurance. If you have an insurance provider who, before your car insurance, for instance, lapses, they can call you in advance, like two weeks in advance, or even a month in advance, and tell you, can you budget for this? This is your insurance will be up on this and this day. I'm just serving you as a reminder. Same. If the same attitude can be emulated with maybe people who are doing car service, and after every couple of miles, a car needs to be serviced and the like. And if they can do a follow up, they know after every 3 months, this car usually comes to my petrol station, or be it my garage, to be serviced. And we already have the contracts based on the payment that the guy has been doing, or the client has been doing. If they can say, okay, we've noticed that usually every 3 months you are usually up for service. Is everything running okay? Is everything seamless? We'll prepare for you, so you don't have to queue. You can even book in advance. So just let me know. I will prepare the service bay for you. So if I can get that kind of customer service from just a basic petrol station, it will make me feel like, these guys actually value me. And when I go, I don't have to wait in line or queue for other cars as they're being serviced. I can go at the appointed time, get my service done, and I'll be good to go. Another aspect to look at is in terms of billing. There's an aspect of commercial departments, and commercial are always focused on the aspect of, we build and are we collecting. However, sometimes, have you ever gotten a bill and it was so ambiguous, you felt like people are stealing from you? And not to throw anybody under the bus, but I always doubt my electricity bill. I don't know whether I'm alone on this. And I always doubt my water bill. At no one time has it ever come, and I felt like, yes, I've never called the water company or even Kenya Power to say, this bill is proper. I thank you very much. I'm always doubting in terms of how come the bill has reached to that extent. And it's the same thing even in us. When we're billing people, do we explain? And it's good even Kenya Power started breaking it down for us. Water service providers now have put their tariffs online so that you can calculate in terms of if they're billed for your water, and even if they're offering sewage services, you can put that on the tariff. But those are the aspects of even billing transparency we're looking at. Sometimes we might be pushing the blame to the sales and marketing, and yet even in the commercial side, people they do not know, they can't make heads tails of what we are costing for them. So imagine if we do the same in bars and restaurants, where after drinking we still want to verify, did I take these bottles of beers, or these bottles of soda, or water for those who don't drink. I don't know how many bottles of water somebody can take, but I'm just putting it in perspective. Yeah, something to that effect. Okay. And finally, I will look at the aspect of admin. Uh, how when it comes to admin and issues of customer, first and foremost, our systems timely, and are they error-free processes? And by error-free, I mean within even our database, are they calling, guys? Are we calling a Mr., Mrs., or a Mrs., Mrs., Mr.? Case in point is when my wife, when we're having our firstborn son, my wife is called Melvin, and Melvin was the principal covered under that insurance, principal member under that insurance cover. So my wife is in the maternity ward, so I called the insurance company using a cover, and the person asked me, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm the spouse. I'm called Kevin." So of course, customer care there was very confused. He's like, "But this cover is for Melvin." I'm like, "Yes, Melvin is my spouse." So at that point, they were confused. But are you two men? And is the man in the maternity? So I had to clarify that, okay, Melvin is my wife, Kevin is me. But you see, in certain situations, you don't have that luxury of somebody being able to clarify such a mistake. It's good to know who your client is. Is it a Mr.? Is it a Mrs.? And that's a small thing, but it's a big thing. For some people, they take it very personally. If you call me Mrs. Kevin, I'll start wondering at what point will you think that I am a Mrs. So there are those aspects of things that come up when it comes to even admin, when you're addressing a bill and administration, when the admin in itself in the database has the wrong names and you're sending it out. It's the right bill, but the wrong name for the client. So the client will already start contesting and say, can you get your facts right first before you come back? And then still, when you send even the right one, they'll still be in doubt. So there are those aspects that they can decide in future. These guys don't have their facts together. They're not professional in how they're handling things. Let's look for a better provider if it's a competitive service. Yeah. So there are small things, but those are certain roles within. In terms of even my experience, I've seen the things that have costed clients, and some have left, being patrons of an organization. So at this point, I want us to move to the next section where it will be looking at, can we have a retention strategy framework? And this is a framework we can adopt depending on the case of our organization. So we look at the general topics, and then there are those aspects that we can look. Can we see how they relate to our organizations? And in this aspect of retention framework, um, I will look at issues of identifying touch points within our organizations. I will look at issues of proactive issue management. I will look at matters such as enhancing service quality. I will look into creating a culture of retention within the whole organization, not just for the sales and marketing team. I will look to aspects of, can we use or utilize tools and systems for support? This is adopting technology in the systems that we have. The first point, as mentioned earlier, was to identify the touch points. So touch points basically will be ideally uh, the areas where a customer engages with the business, either directly or indirectly. So these are the key areas where somebody comes into the organization or somebody has come to know of the organization. So, and they can be classified under different sections, be it physical. By the physical, it means you have maybe an online, a physical store, and I come there and I come to interact with different people. And it could be either people from sales, or it could be either the people who are there. If it's a supermarket, it could be the attendants, and it could be just different people within, even to your security guards within the premises. Um, at the same time, it could be even if you're attending a function or an event. So that means that's the physical point of contact with the business in itself. And if I'm organizing an event as an event organizer, is the security company that I've procured or that is offering security services, are they attending to my patrons very well? Because you can tell there was an incident that sparked social media the other time where people noticed that security company was had two lines, and it was based on skin color, and that created a whole uproar around racial discrimination within Kenya and Nairobi at that. And the fact that now those can make your organization, or even if it's the club owners, had to deal more with um, preventing the image that they're not racist, removing that image of them being racist than them offer being an entertainment spot. So those things can cost customers, and some don't even want to do it. The other aspect will be for the point of attach point will be digital, which is it could be aspects such as I come to a website, or there's a mobile app I'm interacting with, or there's a chat box I'm interacting with, or the social media. And this has become more and more a very key component or a very key touch point area, because we found that most of us are on our phones. A big percentage of consumers that would want to reach out have smartphones. And the smartphone penetration being as it is in Kenya, it's easy to sell a product either through an advert, be it your YouTubes or the like, through the smartphone. And sometimes it means that if they're going to engage through it, and there are aspects of even them registering and the like, you'd want that experience to be seamless. Yes. Uh, okay. Okay. And then there's now other indirect aspects such as reading online reviews or seeing an advertisement, which could be on the TV or an online review, just basically because you've gone to like those review sites like Yelp, and people are saying what their experiences. TripAdvisor, if you're in the industry for tourism and hospitality. So those are those aspects of people will read that review based on what has been put out there, based on the experiences of people and based on the ratings of people. And so now, with all that information, okay, how are we being perceived even beyond just our premises? Yeah. So that is as regards the touch points. So the second one we look at is the issues, is proactive issue management. How are we when it comes to matters of proactive issue management? But so issues will arise, we don't dispute, but how do we address them? So one key aspect of that proactive issue management, as we are looking at, is, do we anticipate problems? Or are we in a position of we are perpetual optimists that God is with us, therefore no weapon formed against us shall prosper, so we will be perfect all through. But living in the reality that we are, it's good to anticipate problems. You know that you're being a pessimist is just like, in case it occurs, do you already have a way such that it doesn't catch you off guard or by surprise? Uh-huh. There's aspect of early customer notifications, and this is works very well when, especially with the mobile internet service providers. Internet service providers are very good at telling you we are going to experience, we are going to do maintenance, or there's be downtime. Even Kenya Power is very good at that, telling you we will not have electricity between this time and this time in this certain area. Uh, when it comes to issue management, do we document and share solutions sometimes, or is this just something that we keep to ourselves? If you know that a certain client, and it's a big client, and one of the key things is, if you buy a client a bottle of something out there, it could be beer, it could be whiskey, it could be wine. It kind of eases the tension, and you can resolve an issue. These are things to just document. These are the likes of this particular client, and you can share. And those are informal, but they are very, very key things when it comes to when an issue arises. And that now helps to ease the tension. And when you're having an issue to resolve, call somebody out to lunch, then let me buy you breakfast. Then it's easy to resolve it at that session in terms of breakfast. Tempers have cooled down and the like. And you can say, this is a strategy I've used and it has worked for me. And you can document and you can even share with your team how you went through it. So that it doesn't become an aspect of people saying, so anakuanga mgumu, so and so is a very difficult client to deal with. Me, I don't even know how you cope. You don't want your team to start talking in those sense in that regard. You want all departments to share that, yes, this is an opportunity to retain this person. And then use data to prevent repeats. The data is the new oil, they say. And how good within our organizations are we at keeping the data of how many issues have we resolved effectively, how many customers who those issues we resolved have been our customers throughout, and for what period have they been with us, and do we appreciate even those periods that they've been with us? So those aspects of data can help you see in terms of how are you performing when it comes to aspects of retention and issue management, via issue management. Yes. So the other point we said in this framework we have is, are we enhancing our service quality? By that, we look at aspects of, do we set and meet expectations? And by this, I mean, we don't overpromise and then underdeliver. Yes, there's a song that says, and ladies maybe will bear me witness to this, where the man will promise you the moon and the sun, and they deliver rain and thunderstorms on a regular. So I use that as my go-to criteria. Am I promising the moon and the sun and delivering thunderstorms on a regular? So even for you within the organization, set expectation that you can meet or even over deliver on. That helps to create that morale of I like this organization. Track key performance indicators. KPIs are always there, but do we track them? Because everybody will say, this is your KPI, this is your KPI, this is your KPI. It will become a catchphrase within the organization. But how are we tracking and saying, we see you at 50%, at 40%. You see us struggling with this particular one, especially when it comes to aspects of dealing with customers. Yeah. And it could be even on a departmental issue. And I like the fact that there's a mobile telephone company, even after they ask you in a scale of 1 to 5, how are you willing to recommend this service to a different to your friends or family. Another one will be focus on fast contact resolution. By fast contact resolution, we mean when a problem is presented, is it resolved at the first instance it is presented, or is it taken through 15, 16 different stages before it's resolved? So somebody gives up even by the time they reach the 16th stage. So fast contact resolution, the frequency in which that happens will show you, okay, we are able to retain customers. And if we are not, then it also tells you, why are we not? Is there something else that is not helping? Are we good at this fast constant contact resolution? Because some customers abandon organizations based on, if I raise this problem, I get this other one. If I raise this problem, I get another one, this and this. So you are like, no, ask you about this. If you want this, move to this department. Ask you about this. If you want this, move to a different department. So it becomes very bureaucratic, and somebody will likely abandon you because of that. Yes. The next one will be an issue of empathetic communication. As I mentioned earlier, it's always good to not hear but listen, understand where the customer is coming from, and not label them as difficult, and then try and allow work or provide a service based on where they're coming from. Not just trying to sell without understanding what their needs are. Finally, creating a culture of customer retention. The topic today says, even for non-sales team. So everybody is responsible for this. But by that, we mean, even within internally, do we have are we trained in terms of empathy and listening? And it could be just internal trainings within ourselves. Do we take that time to know the difference of, okay, this is how I'm empathizing with the situation. How I'm empathized by the time I'm resolving your issues is based that I'm looking at it from your perspective, not from my perspective of I just want to make a sale or I just want you to leave. Yeah. Do we encourage ownership from the get-go? And by the get-go, I mean from the first instance is the security guard, somebody enters our organizational premises, to the CEO, even to the board of directors. Do you feel everybody is within the organization, or do some feel some are more owners of the organization than others? Yeah. Do we recognize contributions? And that means if I, within whatever department, have been very instrumental in resolving an issue, or um, have shown a frequency in terms of success, frequency in success in resolving issues. Do I get any form of recognition, or am I already being paid a salary and the HR teams decides, see, we pay you a salary, then why do you want additional recognition above that? You are doing what you need to do. Yet sometimes you find even people going over and above what their job description is to make sure that they're seeing that any issue is resolved to the tail end, or even a sale is made to the tail end, even if a service is provided to the tail end. Okay. And then, do our goals align with the customer's successes? As in, our goals are looking at what is the best benefit for the customer at the end of the day. Then that will make us all think about, if a customer is raising an issue, we don't say the customer is being difficult, but what do they need and are we providing what we need? If it's from the technical department, whatever they are developing, is it efficient for that customer to utilize? So that it doesn't become you are selling, the customer is ordering cows and you're busy here pushing goats. That will not work. Yeah. I'll come to the aspect of adopting technology. And one key item is to have tools and systems for support. And by tools and systems for support, we have various things. There are even various software that are out there. And some can help us with customer relationship management tools and ticketing. I found this to be a very effective way to show even professionalism in terms of you tell a customer within a customer CRM management tools, you're bringing them from the aspect of, okay, how far are we with the progress in terms to resolve the issue, or even if it's a ticket that has been raised, is when was it raised? You can show there, and at what time has it been resolved, and it can be a reference point that you go back to the ticket if it's not addressed within this duration. You go back to it and say, I raised this on this particular day. And there's also referencing to see, okay, where is the issue? Where is it rate? Where everybody can monitor the progress and they can inform the customer the same. And it's not an aspect of a customer says, I called your office and starts mentioning names of so and so took it upon themselves. And then for us, we are telling them the so and so is not in today. Can you tell me again what was the issue was? So with these management systems can assist us, and some of them are online. Knowledge bases. Once we create knowledge bases as well, based on issues that have been that have arisen in the past, it means we are not reinventing the wheel trying to resolve our already previously existing issue. We just go back to our reference knowledge base and we say, okay, this is if this is the case, then this is how we can resolve it. So already you have a database of somebody can just go do a search and resolve in a timely fashion. And with that knowledge base, we can move to the aspects of AI in terms of artificial intelligence support bots or AI bots, which nowadays we've seen that if it's a common thing that is happening, 90% of the customer issues can be resolved with that AI bot. So the customer, other departments can focus now on those key issues that the AI bot cannot resolve. Yeah. And then internal tools, even within ourselves, when an issue is raised, the back and forth of emails sometimes is crazy. I used to work for an organization where you wake up, it's like between 5 o'clock and 8 a.m. in the morning. There are conversations happening while you are asleep. So you find like 100 back and forth emails, and you now start, you're like, what I will do is I will just search, where is my name, Kevin, to see if I have an action point. If I don't, I will just let it be. But then the problem will be sometimes it will have been, I was supposed to have known something about that whole process because somebody will call in and say, okay, where are we at with this? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And like, you didn't see the emails? I'm like, I saw the 100 emails, but I don't know where to start from. So things like teams and help, because you can create, okay, this is a troubleshooting team and the like. This one we're doing what? This one we're doing maybe if it's an event. This one is maybe a customer issue. You can put it, then the key people who are involved in that team are the ones who can be put there, and an update can be given based on that subsection or even that departmental team. Okay, so at this point, I want to share a case story because we are now nearing the end of my presentation. And I'll use the case story of Uber because it's a very short case story. So for Uber, when it came out, it was termed as the most revolutionary idea in the last decade. That was when it had come out at that point, 10 years prior. And at that point, everybody felt this was the best thing since sliced bread. However, it was very interesting that it was also protested all over the world. And like everybody, you had taxi drivers banning people who are using Uber. Anybody, as long as you're a taxi driver, you're against this, and it was the world over. Um, that said, it wasn't that we were protesting because it was a bad system necessarily. It was they were protesting because the system seemed to have been working better than the traditional I hail a taxi or I have a taxi guy system that was there in place. So that was the main reason why everybody was up in uproar about it. However, it was very interesting that the success was not necessarily because of the app, the goodness of the app in itself, but it's because of through the app, there are other different features that were introduced. And this was very well exemplified in the year 2020. And I think all of us remember COVID period was around that time. Because in 2020, the innovation saw that in the riding segment, as in sales went down by 25%, but for some reason, for Uber Eats, they went up for 200%. And when they went further to find out why this was case, you find that it was the aspect of, and I to quote Mtai Kagwe, if we continue to operate normally, this thing will treat us abnormally. So it was social distancing. It was a period of staying at home. And what Uber did is like through the Uber Eats, they found out there's a lot more you can do when it comes to, even if it's supplying groceries. Now they became the go-to people. They became the supply chain. When it comes to, if you're ordering online, they partnered with other outlets so they could make sure that you're getting the food you have ordered if you are used to your KFCs and the like. So Uber, in a sense, became the aspect of quote unquote communication between. If people want to send, maybe if documents need to be signed and all that, the packaging services also came about. So you find that in that period, the tech department listened to what is happening in the terms of the situation on the ground, and they developed now another segment within the app that the customers actually were in need of. And now the customers were even utilizing more of it than what it was initially intended of, which was a taxi service for people necessarily. And with that, also within themselves, they had their proper referrals award program. When Uber started out, they will tell you first you will get a ride for free if you refer one or two of your friends. So they didn't have a sales and marketing team necessarily, but they had people. If I download an app, I will share and refer a friend and tell, have you used Uber? Have you used Uber? And that's how they are now getting the Ghana market share the whole world over. So it's very interesting for me. I found that to be a very interesting case. And then finally, they had aspects of Uber Cash and in-app wallet. And within the Uber Cash, you give 5% off for every $100 that was spent. And this aspect of discounting is very key. And now your accounting and your finance guys can come in and they can tell you, this is what we can offer as a discount to our patrons who have been here. And it's the same thing we see even in supermarkets, that sometimes the offers that you're getting when you are registered with a particular supermarket, the offer is open to you than when you are an outside person coming in. So those discounts are things that you can see are enticing. And if the system is well in place, that it does not discriminate, and if we are registered with the organization or the company, and we're all getting it the same, we are likely to sell the gospel. It would be an aspect of, hey, did you get? How comes me? I did not get. It doesn't become an aspect of it's not fair. Yes, and then within Uber themselves, they decided to have a reward program for bikers or drivers, where if you're getting a proper rating on a regular because of the customer experience, then they also bump you up when it comes to priority. When it comes to, if you are within an area and you are a 5-star biker or rider, then you get the priority of coming in. And the same can be maybe accumulated in our departments. If you see that a certain department is very good at resolving issues, and they help us in terms of when it comes to customer satisfaction and customer experience, we should also have that loyalty program of saying, okay, as a department, let's give you this and that recognition. This is what you've done. We've seen that every time that an issue comes to you, it's successfully resolved to 100%. So there are those aspects we might think that they are just for sales, but also they can apply. So at this point, I wanted, and you can do with a show of hand just so that I can gauge, because I've been talking for the last almost hour. If any of us would want to share an example of where a non-sales team, based on what we've discussed, has driven up retention, and you can just put up your hand and I can call you out if you don't mind, or if you're in a position to talk, you can just share. So I'm looking at, in any of us in our organizations, personal case studies, has a situation where you found a non-sales team has driven retention. Anybody willing to share? Uh, okay, nobody? Can I call? Okay, sawa sawa. Okay, so then I can move on to the next slide. Not unless I'm leaving
There's
anybody.
a hand
Oh
up
yes, Rebecca.
for Rebecca.
Yes, I've seen Rebecca. Yes, Rebecca.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for that presentation. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank something about customer retention is something that is very key. Excuse me.
Uh, m- uh, Rebecca, you can proceed.
For sure. Thank you. So one thing about customer retention, I realized that one customer, whenever we push away one customer, we push away all the other customers, especially through things like customer reviews. You realize
Yes.
that whenever you get one customer review, like when you're going to buy something and you check out the reviews that people have given,
Yes.
most of the times you're always influenced by such kind of reviews. So you're like, by the way, I think I like
Yes.
this. I like this. I like their customer service. I like
Yes.
how, how fast they were able to serve me. I liked how they resolved my issue as a customer. And those are the things that influence us. So I think for us to be able to retain customers as part of this strategy is taking care of one customer, because if you bring on board one customer, they will bring 10 more. If
Yes.
you take away one customer, that customer will go with 100 more. So I think it is important for us to watch how we serve one customer with this era of, Twitter, marketing and everything. Someone will just go and say, hey, by the way, I don't like how models, I don't like how ACCUREX does that thing, and we end up
True.
pushing people.
True.
So I think that's important. Thank you. Thank you for the good presentation.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. That is very true. They say it's not about the person you're selling to, but it's about the number of people that person you're selling to knows. And bad news travels very fast, as they say on social media. Good news might
Absolutely.
take a while. So thank you very much for that, Rebecca.
Welcome.
So
I saw
then,
like Maggie had unmuted. I don't know if he wanted to talk. She wanted to talk, sorry. Maggie?
Maggie?
All right, let's proceed. We have a few comments on the chat box.
Yes, 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 yes. Let me look.
Do I help you read them out?
Kindly.
All right,
Thank
no
you.
worries. So from Bernard, he's saying, great presentation. The social media team have been doing great in retaining customers.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Another comment from Wilfred Achachi is saying, in today's marketplace, a lot of marketing is done by non-marketing professionals. Since we
Yes.
trust word of mouth from people we trust more than commercials.
Yes, yes, very true. Very true. Word of mouth is like 90% nowadays in terms of sales and incremental sales. Now, on this section, I just thought, yes, after that brief, thank you, Rebecca, for that. After that the brief sharing of experience, for me, my key takeaways will be this when we are going, in terms of the action for most of our teams out there, is we look at, we audit our touch points based on what we've discussed. Which are the key points that we are getting in contact with our customers? And it's good you've already even said the indirect and the direct ones. And we are noticing that social media as an indirect touch point, it has more of a say nowadays in this day and age. Um, for me, another key takeaway will be: have we identified any areas of improvements in terms of when we go back? That yes, now we know, okay, it's not just a sales team issue, but how can we now, as an organization, try to improve on the areas where we are lacking in terms of customer retention or promoting customer retention? And then do we set goals that we'd want at least 50% of the people who inquire our products, who buy our products, still remain with us, and we still maintain contact with them to find out what else can we offer them? Or is it an aspect of once we have sold, we are done, we move on to the next? Yes. That is one key aspect I will say. Another key takeaway will be, do we have an aspect of even recognition? We would like an aspect of if we can assign departmental champions, if that is the case, so that even them, they can share their solutions and experiences. Like, as we said earlier, it's good to document these things and to share those solutions. So if I'm a new person and somebody already has a solution, I should not be reinventing the wheel within the organization. So those are the key action or key takeaways I will suggest if we can emulate. And that being said, I move on to a Q&A session in case you have any questions.
All right. Kevin, thank you so much for that. As we wait for the questions to stream in, that was very interactive and very insightful, I must say. The fact that now we've seen sales is no longer the sales team work, it's all of our work. From the security guards, I know sometimes our security guards talk very bad about our businesses, and we don't know even, and until also you talk to them, that you might find out others also bring in quite a clientele. So thank you so much for breaking it down, especially for us who are non-sales professionals, that we are able to see our roles, how they interact with sales and even with our customers. So as we wait for feedback, I'd like to just take a minute to talk just a little bit about ACCUREX and what we do. So let me just share my screen. Okay, perfect. So we are a training
Okay.
company, I will say. That is our core business. That is what we've been called to do in this space of consulting. So we have so many topics running from customer service. And you can imagine now customer service has evolved to non-sales team. So I think the world is really changing, because everyone, I believe, previously always thought in kazi ya sales. Why am I talking about customers? Why am I now we are introducing the concept of talking retaining customers. So they're already at our door. What are we doing to retain them? So we've been at it since 2016. We do a lot of things: training, team building, recruitment, outsourcing. Especially today, there's a whole concept or an uprising with outsourcing that I believe some companies, they're like, as we want to focus on our core business, this HR and HR business, let them be done by experts. So that one is also coming up pretty well. So people HRIS is just us trying to renovate HR from a technology perspective. And with people HRIS, you're able to get an end-to-end HR experience, from recruitment, onboarding, managing these employees, managing their performance, managing their leave days, disciplinary issues, paying them through our payroll system, and finally also engaging them, like running quizzes, running information points in your organization. So that is what people HRIs can do for you. So if this is something that might pique your interest, feel free to reach out to us. You can leave your contact behind if you want to do a demo, just to see what the system is all about. We give you a quick tour on the provisions of the system. And the system is only coming at 200 shillings per active employee per month. So if you can imagine, you can get a whole spectrum of a HR system at only 200 shillings, then that's a bargain for me, I must say. So we also do payroll management as a service. If you don't want the headache of payroll, give us that headache, we'll sort it out for you. And also offshoring, this one especially is for our international clients. They don't have employees here. That also quickly merges with employee of record. We can manage the employees for you as much as you're doing your business outside the country. And then finally, the HR consulting bit. So here are our contacts. Visit our website, see everything that you're doing, see the different touch points where we can meet, interact, have a discussion, schedule a meeting. Let me come to your offices. Let me visit, explore how ACCUREX can interact with your company, with your employees. If employees are in need of a motivation, I think it's high time you call us to just give them a motivation talk that will take about an hour or 2 hours thereabout. So there are many points of interaction with ACCUREX, and I'm happy to discuss that post this webinar. So feel free to reach out to us, and thank you so much for joining this morning. I'll go to Kevin and see if you have any questions that might have come up. All right,
Thank you.
we don't have any questions. I don't know if you have a question, you might want to raise your hand and unmute yourself. Ask it, and then we'll respond to it. All right. So thank you so much for this wonderful webinar this morning. Feel free to give us feedback. There's a feedback form running on the chat box. I'll share it again once more. feel free to leave us any sort of feedback. What did you think about the topic? What did you think about the trainer? Kevin, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes. That's part of customer retention. So it's
yes,
very, very important.
definitely. Give us more insights on what more topics you want to see in the coming weeks, and we'll try our best to retain you as we give you what also you're asking for. So thank you once again, Kevin. This was very insightful, I must say. I've picked a few ideas as you're talking through, and I'm like, I think this is something we need to start implementing at ACCUREX. So thank you so much for the customers who are patronizing us. Keep patronizing us. We are happy being patronized by you. Ask for quotations, ask for proposals. Give me a call. Ask me what we can offer to your organization. And that is it from us this morning at ACCUREX. And until next week, we have another hot HR topic coming your way. So you better be on the outlook for it. And as we try to now, just started season 3. So imagine we have 9 webinars to go. I think those ones will push us until December, but let's wait and see. So thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon ahead. Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye.